All right, let's talk about lifting. Lifting is when we want to remove some paint to reveal more of the paper underneath, to make it lighter in an area. This is handy in places like on a portrait, the nose, different places that you may have put down too much color and you want to make it lighter in that area. It also is wonderful for doing strands of hair. Now, this is a finished painting here. This here is a painting that I did in a workshop and I never finished it, just got this far, but I'm going to use it for my example. Here's the tools here for lifting. Now there's something called a scrubber, and it actually is called a scrubber. This is made by Creative Mark. There are different brands out there of scrubbers. What they all have in common is that the tip of it is extremely stiff in there, and that's the whole idea, because we're going to put water down on here and we're going to rub into the nap and we're going to lift with a paper towel some of the paint that's on there. And we can do this in varying degrees depending on what the colors are. Some colors are staining colors like phthalo blue, very hard to lift a lot off. Other ones are fully transparent and you can lift a good amount on it. There are other brands. One of the other brands that's good is by Rosemary and Company, and it's called a Eradicator. Had to look for the name there. An Eradicator, and that's a nice brand also. And if you can't find a scrubber, another option is to go to your local art supply store and get an oil brush. This is a filbert. It's a short filbert, and it's got very, very stiff hairs at the end, and that's the key. You need to have it stiff. Otherwise, if it's floppy, like say a regular brush, then you're not going to get a lot off. Now, I'm going to show you also, you can lift gently with a regular paintbrush. So the key is to always use some fresh water. So I have fresh water here and a paper towel. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab one of my scrubbers here, and let's say on the tip of the nose right here, I'm going to lift that up a little bit. So I'm going to dip the brush into some clear water, and I'm going to put it on here, let it soak in, give it a second to soak in, and then I'm going to lightly, I don't have to go in really, really hard, I am going to lightly do some lifting. I'm going to blot. Nothing happens unless you blot. You can see that, but you can see it's taken a little bit of the paint up, and here comes a shine on the end of the nose. So I can expand that, and there we are. Say I want to have more on the bridge of the nose. I'm going to wet it first, give it a second or two just to soak in. I'm going to come back, I'm going to lightly rub it. I'm going to lift. I don't want to sit there and rub and rub and rub and realize, oh no, when I lift it, I've taken too much off. Do a little bit at a time. See how nice that is, the ridge of the nose? That is really nice. That's great. So that's the type of thing you can do in different places. Now let me show you. Oh, here's a nice place right here on the lip. I want this to shine a little bit more on here. And so I'm going to just do a little lifting, and there it is. Another way to do it is just using a regular paintbrush, and say this cheek right here that I want to lift some of the color there. I'll take just plain water, put it on, let it sit. I'm going to dry my brush off a little bit, and then I'm going to start to rub and lift. Rub and lift. This is good for larger areas, and it's much softer than using the hard extractor or the scrubber. All right. Now, I'm also doing this is important, I'm doing this on dry paint. So this is totally dry. I don't want to go in and do this when it's still wet, because then you'll have fresh wet paint moving into areas that are starting to dry. You can get those dreaded blossoms or cauliflowers. See that cheek, how it's coming out really nice now? And it took out just enough paint on here that I really like that. So that's the general idea. You can go crazy with it. Let me show you. I'm going to grab a little heavier one right here, and let's do a little bit of hair in here. So let's do some strands. We'll say that's a strand in here. Do that. Look at that. Now, one thing it does is it messes with the nap, of course, because you're sitting here and you're rubbing on it, and so it is going to do a little bit to the nap. One of the things that you can do is when you're done, like say right here, see how white that is? Let's take some in here. Is when this is dry, I can go back in, and because it's in the hair, it's not going to matter. It would make a difference over here. I can add in a very light coloring to it. In this case, it's raw sienna. In fact, I can do that right now, even while it's a little wet, and just rub some raw sienna in there. So it's no longer white, and it's a nice, beautiful blonde strand in there. So this is a good way also for, say, like the ear. This is the earlobe. I'm going to